I'd say the biggest deviation, from what the forecast or predictions or any of the projections kind of put, I'd say is on the pitching side. I'd say that's deviated more than more than the offense. So that and some of our on-field execution, and converting balls into outs, and base running and things like that. So I think those are the things that we're all aware of and things that we're addressing. But I think those are the things that stand out the most as it relates to the pitching. Just the execution, being able to repeat pitches, get the ball to behave the way that they want it to behave, and so. We're in a position where we're kind of changing some things up and moving a couple pieces around, and I know Hef and some of our analytics group is working on pitch design and trying to get these guys in a better spot. But yeah, that's where our mind is right now. Well, yeah, if you had the fortune to know that you were going to lose Edwin in spring training, you'd add another arm, but I don't know. We walked into the season with 4 relievers that had all been tested in extremely high leverage situations in their career and performed in them. And Drew Smith as kind of a budding, 5th member of that group of leverage relievers. And so then you want to keep some doorways open for opportunities with guys such as Joel that brought up, whether it's Stephen Ridings or Coonrod to be able to push their way up, but Brigham to be able to move up and down to navigate a 162-game season. When you lose Edwin, you lose, a critical element. Remember, one of the biggest contributors on your team. You lose him, and then, that bullpen gets stretched, and they get put into different roles, or they get asked to pitch more frequently because now you have less candidates to pitch in those high leverage situations. And then when you compound that with starters that maybe aren't going quite as deep, it's kind of like, pressure or, forces on both ends that are kind of contributing to it. And so, yeah, it's a major loss to our team. So I think, when we were walking into spring training feeling good about having 5 high leverage relievers, I think a lot of teams would have wanted to be in that position. I mean, I constructed the roster, and so, we put this team together, and a large part of it we put together last year, and then supplemented with some of the pieces that, we lost in the wintertime, and but ultimately, I mean, this is the club we have right now, and I think we expect them to be able to do more, and I think they expect it of themselves. A lot of track record on the players. These guys have that's one of the benefits of having a veteran team, is that they've been through a lot of adversity before, and so in their history, they've been tested. And, you kind of lean on the back of the baseball card with these guys. One of the benefits you have is that every time you play, you have a chance of changing the story. And, we've got a decent amount of runway here before the deadline. And so, would hope that we can change the story. And if we can, then we can add. If it doesn't, then we'll just have to kind of create other opportunities and see what else exists out there and see how we can kind of serve the long-term blueprint of the organization. But right now, it's the focus is on the present, and how we can attack each day. Buck's had a good amount of adversity kind of heaped his way, and I think it started in spring training with the loss of Diaz, and losing some of the pitchers for a time being. Justin being out at the start of the year, Max, his suspension and kind of the irregular workload. And so I think Buck's, handled that adversity, and I think he's the guy to get us back on track.
It sounds like you're saying that this manager and this staff are going to be given a long runway to turn this around.
They deserve an opportunity to keep this going, and and all the support that we can give them. He and I are sharing a lot of the same feelings and disappointment, among some other things, and so we want to do whatever we can to help and support the players, support the coaching staff, and just get them in a position where they feel, kind of feel the freedom to play, and have our players be in a position where they're just playing loose and they're playing free, and playing hard and playing tough, and not thinking about all the other factors, or not thinking about what yesterday's game or the 2 games ago, what that kind of brought, but really just stand present in the moment.